All right, everybody. Welcome to Justice Wednesday night. And this is going to be a heated one, I guess. Vinny is on fire. Yeah, guys, we got the chat right there. Oh, very nice. Very nice. That's great. I'm so glad for that. Last episode of sharing the story. That was awesome. But you know what? Why am I wasting time? Let's get it on. Let's bring Vinny out here. Let's see what Vinny has to say.
What's up, Darren?
What's up, Vinny?
Tons of fucking shit. Tons of shit.
Yeah, tons of fun. It sounds like, huh?
Well,
you know, they play this game. This is the game that they play. You know, they want to beat your ass and this stuff. That's what they try to do, man.
And this is on her. This is for tomorrow's hearing, and now they're telling her that she might be there all day.
Well, tomorrow's hearing. Well, why don't you let everybody know what tomorrow is?
So my wife has her initial jeopardy hearing tomorrow because she. Well, I told her to waive jeopardy because the quicker that she waives jeopardy, since they're ceasing reunification with her, that means that she no longer has to be under agreement with CPS. By ceasing that reunification, if they're caught allocating those funds, that is fraud upon the state.
Yep.
And
I suggest everybody out there, if you guys are out there and you are in the TPR mode, do a FOIA on them and find out if they're still taking funds for your child from Title IV funding. Because that's right, Vinny's absolutely right. That is fraud, big time fraud.
That is immediate ground for dismissal in federal court.
So definitely make sure that you guys look that up. We got to try to hit these guys in every way that we can. Danielle's in the house with us. Look at Danielle out here. Hey, Danielle. Oh, I'm Vinny right now.
Over there.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
What's that?
Nothing much. Just Vinny. Poor Vinny. I feel for Vinny.
Yeah, it sucks. It's,
yeah.
Not only did they do that, but I get an email from Rick tonight. Okay. And just before she has to go to court, all of a sudden, a new file pops up in Share File. Well, let me read this to you. Because when I saw it, I was not impressed. I'm looking at it. Okay. This is from Penobscot Pediatrics in Bangor. Dated for November 12, 2024. And it says, Trinity Torrey, date of birth. Dear Karen and John, Trinity Torrey has been scheduled for a Zoom telehealth appointment with our on-site counselor to discuss their recent placement in your care. You receive a Zoom link by email in 24 hours prior to appointment. And a comprehensive evaluation has also been scheduled with Sydney Kortrek, FMPC, at Pediatrics Medical, provided with the key client at Penobscot Pediatrician. In order to address all areas of concern, please plan for at least 1 hour for the mental health evaluation and 45 minutes for the comprehensive physical evaluation. Your foster child appointment and records will be sent to DHHS caseworker and primary care physician once appointed has been completed. If you have any questions, please or concerns, please call with their number and extension. And then it's signed, thank you, Gary Moulton, medical support assistant, the key client, and Anthony Pizza.
That's crazy, man. Like that's Vinny. They're playing with y'all. Like they're playing with y'all. And what I don't get is how can they say stuff and then go behind your back and do something different. You know what I mean?
And there was no notification of this whatsoever.
Right. And see, that's, I mean, they always want us to put them on notice, to give them a heads up so they can go like cover their butts. You know, that's not fair. That's not right. But then they can go and do, no, we're going to take them out. These people they're ridiculous. I mean, I was reading today about the foster care and like the cases and the statistics, and my God, like the numbers are ridiculous. I mean, it's crazy. So what? Oh, hold on, y'all. I'm making a mess. I don't know. The weather's bad over here.
But I did do what Gunnar told me to do. I sent all the attorneys, mine, hers, and my criminal attorney, a thing, and I put it as he stated it to me, and I am rightfully challenging their jurisdiction.
Good. Yep. You know, it's crazy how they can get us in family court and then also in child support too. Like, I don't like that double dip. I mean, it's crazy.
I'm challenging their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Under Constitution.
Yep. And that's what you have every right to. I mean, that's what I'll be doing with child support, is challenging the jurisdiction, because why can't, like, my whole case there is crazy. I mean, if my daughter, if they're receiving Title 4D funding or the fund, like Social Security, that's double dipping. Like, that is supposed to be, I mean, they cancel my son, so why not my daughters? I don't understand. But yet now they want to sit here and hold me in contempt and all this other stuff, and that's not right.
What do you mean holding jurisdiction under Constitution?
Do what?
Okay.
Oh.
So Gunnar was explaining this to me and Carrie earlier. Under jurisdiction, when you tell them that you want to challenge their jurisdiction, you can kick that up to the federal court.
Yep.
By your Constitution rights, and you have to be specific when you do write that thing to challenge in front of that federal judge.
Yeah, because you have to. Yep.
You have to have their actual title, not who they are or who they work for.
Yep.
Actors of the state.
Yep.
That's what they are. They are actors.
That's it. They don't work for them. It's like they're subcontractors type.
Yep.
That's all they are. I mean, and then like when my son, I don't know if y'all ever heard, like the kids here in Georgia were being hoteled because they were being put in hotels and the DFACS offices, and my son was involved in that, and they were paying this provider for 24 hours a day to be with my son. They were paying him around the clock. And I'm like, could you imagine what kind of money goes out for them? Like so they have to pay. I mean, I forgot how much they said it was for my kid a week or a day. I mean, it's like $1,500 or more a day when that was all these kids are in these hotels and stuff. And with these people, if they have to have a 24-hour person with them, and that's the way my son was, and he was with this provider, and I mean, that was like a whole year's income right there, you know, in 1 month. When they could have, it was just I'm not going to say it was a waste, because I mean, it kept my son, like, at least he wasn't, well, I mean, and none of it was fine. None of it. So I'm going to take that back. Vinny, you got my blood pressure up with your situation. Like, I can't believe that they just think that. And then
they believe that I'm going to roll over and let them take me down for something.
They're trying to break.
Nothing to do with me.
They're trying to break you. They're trying to.
I am not their fall person, and I will not be their fall person. And if I have to crack some skulls, I will.
Well, let's not go that route yet.
No, and I'm not talking literally crack them in their head.
Oh, you're talking about.
I am talking take them down from the pedestal where they sit.
Oh, okay, kicking out from front of them. You know we need to hold them accountable, like the abuse. I mean, I don't understand how, if they're overseeing these kids in these cases, why so much abuse, especially like for instance, my son. I mean, look at all the abuse that he's had to go through, telling people to leave him the hell alone. Why should he have to, and especially being on the other side of the screen, like the parents having to see this, it's horrific. I'll only imagine.
Yeah, worse is what they call them, money, easy money.
Yeah, easy money. Yeah, my son.
It's well, you know, easy money to them. Because to be honest, they're double dipping themselves. In my case, because this one person who started all this BS is getting SSI.
Yep, and that's and what he was saying, easy money. You know, my son, when he first went out to that facility out there, they were joking with him, and I have it on video recorded where they're like, "Are you easy money, Alex? You easy money?" Like just like I'm being like making fun of him, but like joking with him in a way. And I got a video of it, and because when they realized he was on a video visit, they're like, "Oh shit, you're on a video visit." Yeah, but they're like. And there's a song, I guess, and about easy money or something, and then the whole Al Beezy thing. I still can't get over that. Like, thank God my son is still not calling. I don't know how to take that one right there, because Al Beezy. That's when we heard some of that music. Yeah, so that was my just put it this way. My nanny, if she was still here with us, she would have a fit. She would not know, because that was his best friend but she passed away, my nanny. And
I believe in my heart of hearts, and I'm gonna be straight up truthful with you guys. It's time we strike.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but now is the time to start striking at these people. They do not deserve to have our kids. They do not deserve to take away our rights to our Constitution. They do not have that power.
No.
And they do not deserve the paychecks and the money that they're making off their little team.
Yes, they do. And I'll tell you this. I talked to so in my situation, there is a new caseworker, and I tried to reach out to her today. Well, her supervisor's number was left on the voicemail. So guess what I did? I called the supervisor, because I'm wanting to know who is the chain of command or whatever with the department with my kid, who's over the case, and where's the old caseworker. Well, the new one, she's pretty, I'm going to give her, I'm not going to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to have an open mind with it. I mean, she comes across as nice and she's fair. And, but I'm still up in the air, because I'm not going to trust her quite. I mean, I'm not going to put my full trust. But I did tell her that. I said, considering what I've already been through, I said, I know your job, whatnot. I said, but I'm going to ask you the same. Don't be biased when you come into my case. Don't do it. Don't go by what you're reading on that paper, because that's not fair. I mean, you're automatically going to be judgmental. I said, so if you can be open-minded when you're coming on with this, then hey, put more pride to you. But if you can't, then get yourself off my case, because I'm telling you, it's not going to be, don't, pick and choose your battles, I mean, because they seemed really, but they said everything's still on track with my son coming home. But my big question is, why is it taking so long? Because they told me that the drug test and everything that you do for the process to get approved, I thought that stuff expires after so long. It's only good for so long, and then you have to redo it. Well, I'm sorry, the hair follicle and them cutting out your hair. I mean, that's they cut out chunks of your hair, and
it's not non-invasive, for sure.
Right, and because I know with ICPC. But they told me my son doesn't fall under ICPC, because I know since it's two jurisdictions, that they have to go do another home assessment and all this other stuff. And I'm like, but this is something that should have only took 60 days tops, if that. But now it's been since God, he's been in foster care 2 years now at that facility. He's been at that facility for 2 years. I can't believe it. Wow.
That's fucking crazy. Every week it's Friday. You know, every day it's Friday. Every day it's just another Friday. It's another Friday. It's another Friday.
Mm-hmm. And
fucking ridiculous.
And like I say here, it's like ever since all this happened, I feel like I'm not stuck. It's like everybody's going on with their lives around me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm stuck in this one, you know, and I'm like, man, at least I'm not right.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Go on, move on, and pretend like your son doesn't exist?
Danielle, at least you get to go out into the public.
Not really, because my anxiety gets the best of me.
Well, yeah,
really.
Because what? You can't wait for someone to come over and ask you how your family's doing? Oh, how's everything going? Oh, let me tell you how everything's going.
Exactly.
Or everybody looks at you like would you just wait for all those people that used to talk to you and be like, oh, well, how, you know, like you just,
right.
What do you mean?
And it's like, right. And then they ask me, well, how's your son? Where's your son? Or how's your dad and your son doing? And I'm like, are you shitting me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, come on. Like, really?
Yeah, I know how that is because I'm asked about my daughter all the time.
It's crazy.
I can't answer most of the time because I really don't know.
Right.
They cut the hair. Debbie said, I thought they'd pull out the hair for the follicle test. They cut chunks of hair, like down to the root. Like they did it at the root. I mean, I'm talking chunks. It was a lot. And it was up under, like they took from different spots. I know that. But they cut it. I didn't know I guess they were supposed to pull it out at the root, but they cut it because I mean the bald spots, but I don't trust their the two places they use are under investigation anyways. It's like Experta and some other one. I forgot. I think it starts with an A, and they've been known to manipulate drug tests and stuff. So
that's why I never did mine through their people. I had it done privately at the place that I go for counseling.
Well, this lady, it's so funny that as soon as I talked to this lady today, like all of a sudden, then the guardian ad litem's calling my aunt, and I was getting a call at like 7:00 at night. I'm like, so now, what are they so afraid? Like, what are they hiding? That's what I don't get. But I cannot find who the caseworker is over my girl's case. Nobody, but yet there's a case. Like, I'm like, see, this is, but it's a mess. My case is a mess. How can you, I don't get it. If a guardianship order is in place and it's been in place for over a decade with no hiccups, no problems, where does CPS think they can come in and try to just take over when they don't know, when they didn't even sit down at the table or even conversate with the family, me, or anybody? My son was mute for like 2 months before I, like, finally when I was able to get in the picture when they found me, like when I found him. And right before I got incarcerated, when my aunt had me locked up, my son started talking. He turned around and looked at the provider, and I said, I told you my mom was coming to get me. She might be a little bit late, but I told you my mom be here. And that's one thing about it, my son. And he did not talk before that. That guy was like, oh my gosh, he talks. I'm like, yeah. I said, Alex, what? You ain't been talking? What? But wow. Yeah. And I could, I don't know how to show a picture, but I can show a picture of what he looked like when he went into the facility, like the foster care. You can see just how pale, like he's just hollow. It's like a blank stare. And you could just tell from then until like maybe when he was in there 4 months, you can tell a difference. Like when I came in the picture, he started, his color started coming back. He started talking more. His personality came out. And but those pictures, it's just a walking boy. That's all. He was lost. He was traumatized. He just lost his Mima. He was kidnapped from his home. Where's his mom? Where's mom? Where's mom? You know, or where's Danielle? Excuse me. He calls me Danielle, which that's fine. It's yeah. And they, let me tell y'all this. They have a problem. And they ask me all the time, why does my son call me Danielle and not mom? why ain't it the kid's choice what he wants to call me? And the reason was, and I even asked my son, I said, why do you call? He's like, because your name's Danielle. Well, he was around mostly grown-ups most of his life, so whatever they called me, he's gonna call me. And of course his sissies, they called me Danielle. I mean Mom, but he wouldn't, they weren't around him as much. But I mean, but if now when I'm in trouble, he'll call me Mom because I know I'm going to timeout. I know I did something. So that's one boy that's called me out since he was like 6 years old. That's fine. That's my best friend right there. That's my little buddy, man. He's not little no more. He's taller than me now. Yeah, but he just and the way that he was sent out there, my son should have his tablet. Well, my aunt sent him out there, like put him in when she gave him to the state with a broken tablet. That's wrong. That's just so wrong. Like all his stuff, where's all his stuff? I don't know. Like that's what I'm saying. All his stuff from the beginning, I don't even know where none of it is. I know nothing. Like it's like my son was kicked out of my parents' house, and by not by his choice, and all his stuff is just wherever, just thrown away like that's what it was. He was just thrown away like he's nothing. But he is somebody, and I'll be darned.
Yep. That's the same with me. I'm gonna be damned if I let my little 4-year-old and my 14-year-old be left with these people who have demolished this family, have criticized me, have defamation my character, have had me arrested and thrown in jail on bogus bullshit charges.
False hearsay by hearsay.
Have ridiculed me to the public.
And trying to coerce you to do stuff.
For them at full force. And I don't care if it kills me.
Oh wow. They said the government spends 1.3 billion on foster care for just the maintenance part, like for foster parents.
Guess who's paying though? Guess who's paying now?
Huh? Oh, taxpayers. Yeah, because they have these caseworkers have a fiduciary duty to the taxpayers to prevent foster care.
Notice the circle there. We're paying the state and these governments, so therefore we the people tell you what to do because we're paying you. Yep. It's they put out so much money, and then in Georgia here, they were talking about, because my heart sits with the kids that are aging out of foster care, or that are the older aged kids, like in foster care, like the teenagers. Because when you go to like the adopt a kid site or what, like for Georgia, do you know how many kids in there are between the ages of like 11 and 17? Oh my gosh. Like them, I just want to take all of them.
There's no reason to take those kids to begin with.
They're what? No.
There's probably no reason to take those kids. They're old enough to decide what was going on. Everything.
Right. And I mean, it's just, I've talked, I mean, my son, he's like, Danielle, I'm gonna bring, he had some friends, he has little buddies out there where I'm gonna bring them home with me. Okay, Mom? He's like, okay, Danielle, I'm gonna put them in my pocket and bring them home with me. I said, come on. I told him, I said, come on. I'm fine with that. I mean, they deserve to have a chance at life too. I mean, there are parents out there though that do just shun their kids and just ship them, like they give up their kids. I mean, and it's I can't stand seeing that when people, like these kids where my son's at. It breaks my heart because when I'm on a video visit, there's like one or two of them that'll come up to this video and they'll talk, and they're people too. I mean, and really, I mean, I've heard a couple stories about some of them, and like their parents just signed over them like they were nothing. How could you do that? How could? Huh?
Mr. Gunner's in the house.
Hey, Gunner.
Gunner.
I just don't understand how they could do that. Like, if you're gonna bring a child in this world, don't. Do not. There's people out there that will adopt you. I mean, but don't let them go to this corrupt system.
So as I said earlier, Gunner, I don't know if you heard, I followed what you told me to do. I sent a thing out to all of them and told them I am challenging jurisdiction. Constitutional.
And a lower court or a state court does not have the right to go any further with your case because you now have a question that the state does not have jurisdiction to answer the questions involving your case, which automatically gets the federal government involved.
Say what? Oh, say that again. Sorry,
States do not have the capability within their jurisdiction or within their purview of judgment to make decisions based on constitutional rights issues. So they can't even address them.
So that automatically puts it in federal court?
And it stops your proceedings in the lower states.
Really?
So if I have a question such as, I want to go, since this judge is not going to answer it and doesn't have the capability to pass a judgment on it,
right?
Or even address it with his court, it's outside of his purview of jurisdiction. And what it does is it goes to federal court and you ask the questions like, hey, I never invited him in my house. I never did this. I never did that. Fourth Amendment violation from the very get-go. It came from, I'm going to do this and force my way in or coerce. And I think that's the biggest misunderstanding is, I believe some of the conversations that have been had is CPS or the police cannot come into your home
without
and this is a requirement. Right? That whole bullshit of, well, they gave me permission is horseshit because of that case.
Right.
You cannot that's called coercion because the federal judges deemed anything else other than coercion. You must have a warrant and or a court order.
That's
with
right.
First person experience for it or an emergency. And in that case law describes what quantifies as an emergency.
And they have to specify, like, be very detailed, don't they?
With that emergency, policy and procedure is this nationally. CPS is to call in law enforcement automatically, which is supposed to go into their report. Number two, if an officer deems there's an emergency, automatically he is to radio into dispatch, which that is logged, and that is evidence you can't subpoena, that they did call and say there was an emergency and what that emergency was on the record. So there is proof that it's there. And if they don't have that, there's no emergency, bottom line. And they're not supposed to be in the house at all.
No.
See, that's that whole thing. I can be friends. I can coerce you into letting me in of doing things or this or that. The federal court says you can't go in unless you have emergency or a court order or a warrant. Other than that, you don't belong. Everything else is illegal.
Right.
And a violation of your constitutional rights. That's what federal case law defines. That's what it's there to do.
Right.
But they're not following it because they are considered under the Chevron doctrine to be professionals. I'm a professional and they
kidnapper.
No, I'm a professional police officer. I get to determine what I get to follow.
And they wanted to make their own
employee. I get to pick and choose.
Make their own policies.
But policies and procedures are not law.
Right.
That's for them to follow. And
our statutes and codes too, like some of the
statutes and codes. They don't belong to us.
Right.
I know people don't want to hear this, but that's the stuff that the police are doing. When they wonder why people say they're tyrants or this or that, it's because
they're not.
The Constitution, you've been doing illegal shit, and so has the government under this bullshit case law, which is why it was overturned.
Right.
It was illegal. It was unconstitutional.
And that was the Chevron doctrine. And because they've been making up their own stuff here for the last decade or longer than that. Like they just, they go by their own. It's a joke in some of these courts. I know
and they're going to tell you the same thing. It deals with statutes and codes.
Yep, that's exactly. You're exactly.
So when you have constitutional issues, everybody's getting frustrated in the lower courts. That court legally doesn't have jurisdiction to even address it.
Really?
What you want to do is file for a change of jurisdiction on the basis there are constitutional issues that have to be addressed before we can go any further.
Okay.
It stops your case.
And you said a change of jurisdiction? Is that, or what did you say? A change of?
It's a change of jurisdiction.
Okay.
Due to constitutional rights issues is what your what you're going
What are you
after.
doing?
So
You're
now
challenging
your
subject
lower
matter
court
jurisdiction?
case freezes.
Is that
Okay?
For
charging-
us,
are you
Darren, it's
challenging
a
subject
challenge
matter
of jurisdiction.
So it freezes.
Right.
So
So
until
it
the
stops.
federal court answers and you make your petitions known to them, you don't show up. It's generally just a form of documentation exchange that you send in. I would like the federal court to rule on these particular items in my case generically. Don't go
Okay.
specifics. So if you
Okay.
say, Your Honor, let me give you an example.
Okay.
If a person entered my home and they didn't have a warrant or a court order and there was no emergency that's documented, is that considered a Fourth Amendment violation? Because according to this case law that has
Okay.
never been overturned, that's the way that reads. If you don't have this or that, I would like clarification to make sure this applies to this particular case. The federal judge then issues an order on the questions, kicks it back down to the lower court, and says, you must abide by this. Your hands are now tied.
Oh,
Which, if you know there's constitutional rights violations, the other question you ask, in a civil proceeding
hmm
and or a criminal, if deprivation of rights under the color law, if my rights have been taken from the very first interaction I had with CPS, what does that also mean that makes everything fruit from a poisonous tree under the color of law, which means
The law, like law.
you did a crime
hmm
to obtain evidence or proceed further in your case. And they're going to throw it right the hell out because they're going to tell you, yes, even in civil proceedings, you cannot commit a felony because deprivation of rights under the color of law is a felony.
And that's what they did from the beginning in mine. I can tell you that, right? I mean, like,
So it stops and you put the brakes on them and you hold the state accountable to the federal statutes. That no longer is, they would kick them back so fast, it's not even funny.
because
They're
they,
not going to do that anymore. They're going to pile it up because now they have to do the cleanup from the Chevron. Then you have other cases like SEC versus Jarsky that goes even further into those cases. But you've got to get it under the right adjudication
right.
and under who has the authority to deal with this.
So, and is there a statute of limitations on that stuff? Like, if the
Subject
case has
matter
been going,
jurisdiction can be tried whenever.
Anytime.
okay,
Anytime. If you're in the middle of your case, like most people don't react or start seeking different platforms out until they're involved with CPS and they realize something's going dirty. And the first chance they do is they go to multiple media platforms, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, and starts digging through the videos of who's the top people that they're listening to and what sounds familiar. The algorithm will then kick in on all those platforms to show you things like this or suggest those things. So you use their own technology against them.
Yep.
So it will help you find those things. Now you may eventually get shadow banned because they're going to show it to you and see if you're interested, and they're going to give you some. We'll call it Puff the Magic Dragons, and to where it's smoke and mirrors is what it is.
Right.
Of people that are going to say it's not all bad, it's not this, and that's not our point. The point is
We're trying to
you are
find it.
committing in all 50 states a criminal act
Mm-hmm.
from the very beginning of entering a home. And it's and that's the whole thing. They really believe this. Now I can tell you this: they are brainwashed like a cult, and I'm going to tell you why. Because my wife has a degree in psychology. My wife went through their training and all their videos, like Darkness and Delight, and all this other crap that they have out there, and she's fully aware. But the difference is she's on the other side to where she's lived life, she's interacted with people. She's, her first husband passed, died when the kids were young. So there's a lot she's dealt with in her life.
Right.
20, a 30, a 40-year-old still hasn't dealt with.
Right.
She's got a whole lot of things to deal with, but it's taught her a lot of lessons, but it's also taught her a lot about people.
And if they're full of it, and like when they're playing,
she knows the psychology games. She knows this is manipulation. She knows this is She knows there's no truth in that.
Right.
These people are actually brainwashed enough to think they're there to help children, and there are good people out there that are under that same premise till they get to the dark side. Now, let me give you an example why this is so dangerous.
Yeah.
Because this is mob shit. Okay. I want you to follow me. I want everybody to follow me and listen. The social workers they have are usually young or single moms or anything else that comes out there, right? When their eyes are finally opened of what's going on to the criminal activity, they are now, or when they begin to call out, because we've had social workers tell us this is what's happened to them, they go to blackmail them. Because here's the thing, you have committed a crime, you've now joined in with them to be a co-conspirator of the crime, or basically their hands and feet to commit these crimes. Yeah. You're still going to jail. If you're a single mom, a single parent, or anything else, guess who then gets your kids? Because you have a felony federal charge. CPS. So we're either going to get your kids, and you know what goes on in this system. Everybody's not following. That's why we're trying to get social workers. They're not all of them are the bad people, but you better wake up. Yep. Because you are co-conspirating to a crime, a felony.
Because they're in the same.
And if you're a felon, what happens under that case, which is what it was designed to do, is your kids are then protected. They're coming for your damn kids, and you've lost your kids, and you've got a felony charge for what? Doing what you were told to do at work.
Right.
Following policies and procedures. And when the judge looks at you and you try to get out of it, I didn't know.
They're not going to hear.
What do you hear? I mean, Herbert was a cop. What's the judge going to turn around and tell you? Ignorance of the law does
ignorance of the law.
Responsibility for breaking the law.
Yep.
Well, actually, what's going to happen is the judge is going to say this action was in concert. So, in concert, you know what that means. If if I'm with a bunch of guys, one guy committed a crime, we're all together, we all get charged.
Just like guilty by just being association, just by knowing and being there.
For FBI to do a RICO case on this.
Oh yeah. Like
it's a social worker waking up, and that's what they fear the most. I've got somebody in another state that's on the fucking run. They're hunting her down because she watched firsthand child trafficking, has the hard evidence, everything else, and when she's gone to law enforcement, it's corrupted shit with what it had under the last administration a couple of years ago, and she's on the damn run for her life with her kids.
So
she's got the evidence.
Wow.
Of what's going on of child trafficking in the middle of the United States, right here in almost the dead center. She's like a state or two over from me. She used to be a social worker. When they took and they told her about it, she goes, "That's why we had the bonus programs. This is kind of like our hush money."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what. The bonus definitely, because especially in these caseworkers, they talk about the vacations they're getting to take and everything, but yet, and they're always like in my place that they're always off on Fridays and they never answer the phone. And I'm just like, they don't do their job. They don't.
It had good intentions. Okay, if you go back to the history, if you've ever seen
it did, but
it had good intentions to deal with orphans.
That's right.
It was for. That's the way
orphans, right? Yep.
Somebody looked to exploit it and looked at it as a business proposition.
Right.
Social programs are not meant to, nor were they ever designed to make money. They were supposed to be a constant cost.
Right.
They are pushing out positive numbers, and it's now a revenue for the state that they collect on. If you don't believe me, it's Public Information Act. Freedom of Information Act, you can get the budget of what was spent for last year in every state free to you.
And hadn't it been redone 3 different times, in 19, what was it, what you're talking about, when it started out for orphans, and then it's been.
Let me put it to you real clear.
Yeah.
It did it under Bill Clinton.
There you go.
Did it under the Obama administration.
Yep.
Those are the 2 major changes done with executive orders that gave more money, and the idea is we're trying to get people back home, or we're trying to place the kids, or we're trying to do this and this and that. That was the false flag. Then they gave this whole thing that these kids come out brainwashed that work for these things, that they get the worst horror stories, all the bad stuff. This is what we're protecting kids against. Not going into the soft method of figuring out the facts and figuring out how you can actually help. That some of the earlier social workers from the 70s and 80s, let me get you into this program. Let me help you. Let me help your family. The kids that were actually in need and needed to be removed had some issues.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that scares me is you realize in every state's in their laws, if we had another Great Depression, like where we were heading, like everybody was
Oh
out
yeah.
of job. You didn't have
Yep.
nothing. If you don't believe me, go to North Carolina because they're taking their damn kids for not having a
Yep.
home.
I've been up.
They're
Yep.
too poor. You've lost everything.
I know
Don't
some.
tell me you're not coming for my kids because you'll drive the economy. We don't do that. The businesses and everything else does, and the Fed does interest rate.
Here you go. Here you go to answer that, Gunner.
Yeah.
The budget report for 2024, 5.1 billion in general fund spending in FY 2024, and an increase of 14% over the previous enchanted budget year, and 5.3 billion in general fund spending in FY 2025.
They spend so
There you go,
much.
Herbert.
Is
Hey,
they?
my wife is in the comments too. She has the degree in both psychology and early childhood development. And if anything, she's continued her studies and everything with life when you're talking about how this is applied, how it can easily be abused, how it's a soft science, to go through the arguments of several people that understand that if you're in psychology, you're going to have two methods of thought because that's all they teach you, argue one or the other.
Right.
One, it's an absolute and it's a very powerful and a very useful tool, but you're generalizing or you're sorting people according to certain personality traits, this and that.
Right.
But they deny the fact it's a soft science. Those people deny the soft science theory and go with no, it's a hard science, and that's the line they're trying to push, which also the fact that if you start doing research in psychology, if you'll ever notice at the top of the screen, especially even on other websites, it'll say approved by the United States government. So they're approving psychological ways of thoughts and thinking. Our government should never be involved in anything like that.
Right. They shouldn't. Right. And they try. Yeah. But that's falls under manipulation. Yeah. Trying to manipulate people.
That's not free.
Right. And it's.
If you want to talk about freedom, let me give you a little insight to a little bit of everybody going through a lot with what I've been going through, heart failure and everything else. Find somebody that's getting ready to die. You want to know true fucking freedom? There's somebody that's going to let everything out. I don't give a shit. Why? Because I don't know if tomorrow's promised. I'm going to live, as they say, live like you're dying. And yeah, that's a little harsh to take and do. And people don't realize that because they always count on tomorrow or the next day.
Right. But you never know, though. You never know. It's take one day at a time. I mean, that's all we can do.
But you understand, somebody that lives free is somebody that's going to shake that off real fast because I've got much left. What are you going to do? Penalize me?
Right.
What are you going to do? Kill me? What are you going to do? Incarcerate me? Why? Because then you take over all my medical bills, including everything that goes with it. Then it's cruel and unusual punishment. For what? For speaking out?
Right. Just for
telling the facts, for telling you go look at it yourself?
Just for
prove
talking.
Me wrong?
Right. Just for voicing their opinion. I mean, you're right.
Listen, we've all kind of put our heads together with me, Vinny Punisher. I've used other sources. We've all used our other sources. And the idea is on each facet of your interaction with CPS, what should I do? Darren's got some great suggestions, and some items that going through with the, what was it, the Fiducio? Your mic's off there, Darren. Or on, it's something we can't hear you. He's doing something else. Anyway, he's got something.
Void ab initio.
And listen, this is blowing up right now. Somebody else has gotten a hold of it too, and I've seen probably about 4 or 5 more TikToks on it. So that's actually getting out there as well. So some other people are figuring out, because we're not the only ones digging. Remember,
there's a lot
group.
Oh yeah, there's different. Oh yeah, there's
been screaming void ab initio since the beginning of my kid being taken, and it's taken this long. But there's new stuff that's out about it. See, they've been trying to hide that behind voided and void order. It's not.
Have you ever heard of in court orders like in CPS or family law about nunc pro tunc? It's a now before then that they use.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the
same
type of concept.
Okay. Because that's and I'm dealing with my son was sent to Texas and he's in a residential treatment facility out there and he's 19. So and they're supposed to be bringing him back, but they're taking forever.
The biggest irony of all this shit is everything that has caused 90% of the issues that most people are even having with their kids or even in their families is the government has been fucking poisoning you the entire time.
Right.
If you don't believe me, RFK's all over this. Do your research. I know Sharon's been out there doing her research, and so have I. Do you realize the combination of the stuff that's in your food causes cancers?
Right.
Causes cavities,
And
causes
that's
brain dementia.
my
fucks with
son. And it's funny you
hormones.
say that, because my son was normal. Like, he was fine from the age of 1 to like from his birth until he was about 3 years old. We laid him down one night, and the next day he went. I mean, he was potty trained and everything, like a normal 3-year-old would be. Like, he was up to, on his growing chart, and he talking everything. Laid him down one night, woke up the next day, and he went straight back to baby mode. Still can't tell you what. And I mean, and I've heard it happen with some other kids, but that was just like, I mean, and they were trying to say it was the gluten in this, and then the red dye in this, and the air, but the mercury in the shots, it was, and it's crazy. But that was back in 2005.
Okay. We've got a lot of women in here. I've got a question for y'all, and this one blew my mind. When you gave birth to your children, did you take and have the umbilical cord cut before or after the placenta came out your body naturally and was full?
It was, I thought it was before. No,
you clipped the baby off, right?
Yeah, we clipped the baby off, and then you have it. Well,
congratulations, you have all been put through the matrix, and your children have been destroyed from the very beginning.
Oh, shit.
What do you mean?
Did you know you're not supposed to take and cut that cord until the
placenta comes out?
The placenta comes out and it's empty.
Really?
It's dry because those extra nutrients and the extra DNA and everything else is there. Because they're getting more money. That's right. Sharon did that. They're getting more money to do that stem cell research. So now they created a whole bunch of stuff and called it bodily waste. But they send it off, and the hospitals make money after those on those afterbirths.
Oh, is that why they ask us if we want to like store it somewhere or put it? Yep. Oh, wow. Because they cut my kid's umbilical cord was cut before, before that.
Guess what? Without full disclosure, all you women technically now have a lawsuit against the hospital that gave birth to your children for stealing your placenta and robbing your children of the needed things.
Wow.
Under their policies and procedure, and not to the best of medicine.
Wow. Yeah, because I was wondering what they were talking about. Like, after I had my 3, the placenta, and then the people sending it off and able to store it, and wow.
Because they were storing it for stem cell research. If you had that and something happened to that child, by that time they expected we would be to regenerate anything that we needed, and they pull it right from the womb.
Wow. Because they didn't even. Wow. And that's people probably that. Because my kids were born, my youngest is 2009, and they didn't even give that as an option. We would just have.
Listen,
so they would steal our afterbirth.
About you being controlled by the system and drawn into the system that a lot of these people are saying becoming sovereign or doing this or that. This is part of that transition of slowly watching your true rights erode into comfortability or things you've been told under generational because this has been sold better. Even our own food pyramid and everything else we found out is propaganda.
True.
I mean,
true.
You go off of this, you go off of that, half these other things. I mean, yes, medicine is great for us, but at the same time, you can't patent something that's made in nature. Therefore, we don't get those alternatives.
Right.
So you have a biased medicine area. So you've got a lot of government stuff, and it's hard for people, especially people that worked in the government or worked for them, to go, wow, you mean everything I was doing was wrong or illegal or caused harm to other people or other people's children? Welcome to evolving. Yes.
Yep.
But some of this shit for profit, knowing what the placentas do and all these other things and how you're not supposed to do that, which is a lot of, and that was something I went back to that we were studying, that was a lot of midwives had that thing. No, the baby needs all those nutrients. That's why you don't need the immune shot or all the other things. Let it drain everything that you have. Why? Mom's got all that already naturally.
wonder if that's a reason for like the mental with the autism. Like there was a big thing with autism from like 1999 to like 2010.
Go look at the ingredients of what that shit was. Mercury.
Oh boy, mercury was in the
got
shop.
all sorts of shit trust me, go ahead. You can go look at the list of the shit you got. Pull your own medical records and pull what were the ingredients for that medicine at that time, and it will freak you the hell out.
Oh wow.
We were all lab rats here. We were distracted with television, with the birth of internet, with cell phones.
True.
All this mass distraction. I mean, it was all.
So you're right
on us, and it was for somebody to take and looked at you and I as no more than a commodity, and not as a human being.
Wow, that is, my mom said something like, wow. I mean, and lab rats is, wow.
What if you knew that you were like the United Arab Nations, to where nobody has to work and everybody has tons of money and they have sports cars and this and that and all sorts of things? What if every American could live like that? What if that truly was like that? Because of what it is. I mean, you're looking at that's just like the states are saying with the property tax and everything else, hey, we own this. The states don't own anything under a free nation.
Right. No, they don't. And yeah, I'd be like a communist. And
they have softened us up so much. Here's why. Because if somebody came into your house, whether it was a police officer or not, and you did not have a fucking warrant and you knew your rights, you have every legal right to defend your home, especially in certain states that have to stand the ground. Why? Because your immunity was stripped as soon as you broke the law. You're no different than a common criminal.
Right.
And that goes for any government representative, federal or state. And that's
self-defense.
Start teaching that to some of the people because they're not being taught that. They're being taught to, trust me, we've got evidence of an organization that travels the country that does training modules for police officers, for CPS, for firefighters, all these other things on gaining entry and how to deal with difficult people. To basically, they're not going to call it coercion to entry, but that's what the class is about. How to deal with difficult people to obtain entry. If you don't have the damn warrant or this,
then you ain't coming in.
To come in an emergency, you fucking don't belong there.
Right.
How can't you fucking respect that? And they don't. Shit.
No.
They come in there and put your foot in the door so you don't. Why? It's for officer safety. Your officer safety, I hate to tell you this, you signed up for this. My constitutional rights trump your safety.
Right. That's right. They don't. I mean, that's
both ways, even for me. Your rights don't trump my safety.
It's not like we're gonna go to their house and do that. I mean, we're not gonna be able to do that at their place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a scary thing that most of them do, which is why they come up with the things and the themes of like a thin blue line, a thin red line.
Mm-hmm.
Those type of things. Our dedication is to the things itself. No, your first dedication should be to that Constitution.
Right.
And you're an officer of peace. Why are you out here causing drama? Because a lot of them are out there causing drama.
Yep.
You guys don't need to. What's it matter? Why? Because it's about the money.
Do you guys know what parents patriae is?
No. I haven't heard that.
Parents patriae is the Latin for parent of the country or homeland. Under parents patriae, the state or court has a paternal and protective role over its citizens or other subject to its jurisdiction. The doctrine of parents patriae is a doctrine under which the state has third-party standing to bring a lawsuit on behalf of a citizen when the suit implicates the state's quasi-sovereign interest for the well-being of its citizens. Then, the parents patriae doctrine is also the doctrine in which all orphans, dependent children, and persons deemed incompetent are within the special protection and under the control of the state. That's why they have the right to take our kids.
Yeah. Because they're misreading that or interpreting that. And there hasn't been a federal case to deal with the specifics of it to slow them down or stop them off of these things. We have a right to this or that. Unless there's a crime that's been committed under the Constitution, if you go back to true constitutional law, unless I'm robbing somebody of their life, liberty, or happiness, that's not a crime. Civil crime is for contracts. If I don't have a contract with somebody to do this or that, then that doesn't mean anything. It's the only power that the states have is over contract law.
Right.
You know, it's
That's
the way
right.
to do it. Other than that, they're convicting you under a code and or a statute.
Statute.
And those
Right.
don't can belong to the people.
Nope.
But because you're the third party and because the state has engaged you in that, which is so funny when people say, well, I'm a state national. You kind of already are. You belong to the state. And when you move and you change that jurisdiction with your license, that gives them access to your federal money.
That's right. You were right about us being lab rats.
And you wonder why we're so damn resilient as like Gen X
Right.
and some of the others. We've seen it.
Right.
Now they were doing it to our own soldiers with Agent fucking Orange and all sorts of other shits and the LSD experiments. I mean, come on.
Right.
Oh, well, that didn't happen. That's a figment of this and that. Good. Be around those people that lived through it. And
Right.
I different. You ain't going to argue with them because they're batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah. No, right. Because I would have never thought they'd, like, with the kids, these kids don't deserve what they go through.
To somebody that only wanted it, listen, it's the misconception of this. It's the saying that most people say, you know, money is the root of all evil. No, the proper terminology of it is the love of money is
Right.
the root of all evil.
Greed.
Money over human life.
Right.
Other than that,
That's-
you don't care.
'Cause, I
Somebody
mean,
at Walmart doesn't care about the little kid getting his grape juice and this and that. He
Right.
cares about getting product off the shelf.
yep.
That's his
Yep.
his job.
It's the greed behind it, the wanting more, and yeah, that is true. That is so true.
We don't need somebody to leave. If we need help, that's what our families were supposed to be for.
Right.
Because
Right.
the country has divided our own families to where nobody wants to deal with their own brothers and sisters. Or their own
That is
fathers
so
because they've been poisoned.
Yep.
Their mind chemistry and long-term effect. You want to talk about the war on drugs? How about the government take us off all the damn drugs?
right.
Here's
Instead
your
of
brain,
throwing it in our
here's
face.
your drugs. Who remembers that commercial?
Which one?
And here's your brain. Here's your brain on drugs.
Oh, yep. I remember that. And then when they started like this whole mental health thing with all these services and all they do, and the methadone clinics for these people to get off. I mean, it's just taking them off something one day and putting them on something else.
Well, they have to get control of that money again. They lost it for the heroin, or they kept it, but now we're out of war, so we got to go to the methadone.
Right. I mean,
That's what it's all about.
and then now people are just dying off with this fentanyl. That's what my brother, he's disabled, and
Here's the point. What has driven them, the core to this, is what I'm getting at, is the core issue of this, is people in power and authority have done this to us to where we're at now. They already knew the results that were going to happen. They thought they would monetize on it, and that certain people with certain immune systems are immune to certain things, or this, that, they didn't account for those anomalies.
right.
People beginning to wake up and then realize, hey, this isn't right. It was almost there. It was almost there.
True.
But
And they
one more generation is all it took to pass.
right.
What
And they always, you know, they were wanting it to work, but they weren't wanting nobody to realize what they were really doing. And then
know that there was a civil war. I mean, they're arguing.
you know the biggest successful CIA experiment that's ever happened
Which one?
was done before internet, was done before TV, and it was done on the radio. It was
When was
Mr.
that?
Wells' War of the Worlds. It was broadcast
Yeah.
Oh,
all over the radio, and the amount of panic it did
really?
across the country that they
Ouch.
thought this was a real thing.
Wow.
People mobilizing, doing this, doing that, all these different things out there, proved they could control people with media and or the information control or the flow of type of information.
It's funny. What about that big thing that they did all across the United States, where they put that back? It was a couple months ago, or I don't know if it was where they set everybody's devices off and stuff. They sent out a alert. Did y'all get that? Anybody?
I was reading something about it.
Yeah, and is that what you're referring to, like something like that? With the War of the
No,
Worlds? Oh,
no, War of the Worlds was actually a book that was put out by H.G. Wells, and it was a sci-fi book based off of aliens invading the world.
Oh, I thought they did it as a radio show. Didn't they do it as a radio show?
They made a movie on it, but
they
it was
made
a book.
But it started out as a book. Oh wow!
Reading the book on air.
Oh wow!
And that's what had the whole thing. And they learned so much from that they could control people, which is the same reason we put flyers saying the war was over across Germany. It was called propaganda or mind control.
Wow.
They're really good at it. If you don't think they're not, they've been poisoning us in our food for over 40 years.
Right. Yeah, that is true.
It's good to see you, Sam.
It's I mean, and then like you say, like with the war, I'm looking at the H.G. Well, I didn't know they had a book back, and that was 1898.
Yep.
Wow. And then the movie came out in 2005, but the book is wow.
There's been other movies on it way before that. I think back in the 60s and 70s. They go back.
Right. Yeah. In 1953, there was one. Yeah. What about the Martian? There was a movie Martian or something too. I mean, and it makes you think like these movies that like iRobot and stuff, like, and think about what's going on now with those, like with the robot.
Science fiction is always based in a particular person's purview. That some things in there are capable of actually reaching. It gives them the theory or idea for somebody to change or go after, to where now that, as Star Wars alone, just the theories of the things that went on with that propulsed us into a lot of the modern weaponry and a lot of other things that we have today, things that just didn't exist.
Right.
But then were later invented, saying, hey, we needed to do this, and then now let's apply the sciences we have available to us today and do it that. We had that kind of discuss us with the Avenger movies, where Tony was over here where his dad says, I'm limited by my technology, I can't do this. But your time will come as it evolves to be able to do this. And there's a lot of people out there that were like that. Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein. You don't see those people anymore. I mean,
no.
So poisoned over control and money, and people don't realize they're being a slave. There's a lot of people out there that are good, we'll say, cops or sheriff's deputies and this and that they don't realize, hey, I'm just following procedure.
Right.
Is it legal though?
Right.
I mean, stop and ask. Well, supposedly we can, and the courts are getting away with it. But that's where it depends on the citizen or we the people to take and decipher, is it constitutional, which is why we have courts.
And people got so complacent with it over time, like being done a certain, like you said. Sure.
What did you do when your kid was born? Did you not file for a Social Security card? Did you not get a birth certificate? Did you not have insurance?
Right.
Not this or that?
Just do what everybody, like just what we were.
What does it say on there? It says
programmed to do.
And when you sign all that stuff, what does it say on there? It doesn't say parent. It says something else.
I know it's. It don't say. I'm gonna look that up.
It's like you're telling on somebody. It's that type of word.
Yeah. It's something that you, and a lot of people don't realize that. They just sign it, because I realized that like years later, and when I was looking at my kid's birth certificate. Let's see, where is it? My computer is slow. But yeah, I got my birth certificate right here. Let's see, where to go? Right here.
Do you know why you can't take and laminate a Social Security card?
Why? So they can.
The reason you can't laminate a bond.
Why is that?
Because it's a bond. It's a short form bond.
It's the Social Security card's a bond.
Yes, it's a miniaturized part of your contract you carry with you. That's why you can't laminate it.
Why is that?
You take that Social Security card actually in there, and it will actually give you access to what was set up for your trust way back when. Those things do exist.
Yeah, I saw something on the Treasury site. Something when you put your social in, it'll how much money they've got. What is that?
Information.
Okay, So that is false information. Good. Because we were
type it into Duns and Bradstreet, which is the business number for models and EIN numbers, and it will take and pull it up there. But you can also take, and it's publicly traded on the stock market. You can look under the trades commission for that and put in your item number or line item number under the
really under fiduciary.
Yep.
Oh wow.
It's got a special name on there, and you can't say it on air, otherwise we'll get shut down.
Right. Right. Not gonna say it. That's crazy that it's. And they didn't want nobody figuring out all this stuff. Like
here's the rule: they're not hiding it from you, but they're not going to tell you about it.
Right.
It's out there, but we don't have to publicize it.
And it's funny you say that because when you said like about Bill Clinton earlier, that's when like the families first, they introduced families first and like the kinship and guardianship, but nobody ever, they hushed about it, like grandparents, and because they never talked about families first and the help. That was
the way to get the foster system to utilize the system to say they want to start taking kids, but how can we make money off of not keeping them in the home, but keeping them with their families? Right. Now they get that foster money. Now they get that Social Security money.
There you go. Yep. And that's
CPS is coming in every month or something to do their monthly inspection to make sure that you abide. But here's the other thing. You traded something else also for those foster parents out there. Did they give you a thing to sign that's called a waiver? See, when you waive your rights, you have to sign something, a documentation, even when
the safety plan.
No, your rights.
Oh, so no.
I want to waive my right to an attorney.
Oh yeah, no.
Talk to the police. Here, you have to sign this. That's the legal form of doing a writ release, is what you're doing. When CPS comes in and said, "Well, they gave me permission," so you gave them a well-informed information that they had to come in or what it was, and you have to sign off on it. Without you signing that piece of paper, there's no agreement for you to take and enter because it has to be documented under the law.
Right.
So a police officer or anybody representative of the government, CPS, anybody else enters your home, doesn't have that warrant or that court order and moves past the threshold, that means any part of their body comes past the threshold of your house, according to that law, that's the Constitution and federal case law, your immunity's gone. You are no different than a thing. It doesn't matter who you work for, it don't mean shit. Because now you don't have the protection of the state or anything else in there or any local government. You are now a common criminal, which is why it's called qualified immunity.
Qualified immunity.
It's gone. You don't have to go to court for it. You have to say, I freaking head of this and that. And it's a he said she. How did they end up? Oh, you take pictures. Now we have video. You come busting into my house and you start grabbing my kids. I don't care if you've got cops with you or not. You don't have a court order. I have a right to defend my home.
Defend yourself. Yep. Self-defense. If I go to
this is the same thing they're doing in Illinois. They fast-tracked that dude in Illinois that stabbed somebody. But they still haven't produced a warrant or anything else. They're going to appeal this to a federal court and say illegal entry.
They didn't produce a warrant or anything? Wow.
That's what he's going on.
Wow.
But they weren't fighting in the right court. The lower court just wanted to hang him because it was a state employee that got hurt.
Wow.
Because they were training them to do this. That's our whole point. He goes to the federal court, says, Your Honor, illegal entry, anything that's happened after that, it don't matter if you're cleaning up blood or anything after that. A crime has been committed by the state or local government. That means fruit from a poisonous tree. It doesn't matter if it's dead bodies and blood all over the place.
Right.
Train your people better. They're going to get out of it.
Right.
That's not our job. That's why we are paying people that are supposed to be trained in constitutional rights and the certain amounts of the law, and their policies and procedures should reflect what the Constitution says they can and can't do. And a lot of places are notorious for going against it or even against it.
That's right. And they are. And that's why they're trying to cover their grounds now when people are waking up.
Under this new administration, you're going back to the Constitution, and he's fully aware So is everybody out there of the illegal shit, which is why they're
Yep.
like, we're going back to the Constitution and we're cleaning out these agencies and even doing away with them. They don't
Yep.
belong here. They're
Right.
unconstitutional.
Right.
So he's going to be very close with the judicial system in SCOTUS, having those meetings of what is legal and what is not. That is one of the powers of the executive branch, is to call SCOTUS in or anybody
SCOTUS.
on that board
Yep.
to ask a constitutional question that the president can run it past SCOTUS to see whether or not it's legal.
That's what's up.
Absolutely.
That's good.
And
That's
you don't
what's up.
think he's not going to use it?
I know he's going to use it because of all the BS that's been going on. Like, it's just
It
And-
was meant for business. It wasn't meant for us. We weren't
No.
supposed to be living like this.
no, never, no. I mean, and what's crazy, it took it got worse. I mean, it's gotten way worse because I didn't know about all this corruption until I got introduced. Like, when I started going firsthand experience when my son was stripped from the house and by my aunt when my mom died,
were
you know?
never prepared to defend your rights
No,
until they came for you.
right. That's true.
And that is where our Department of Education in all 50 states has failed every American.
Right.
You have not, you could write a check, they don't do a check, they don't do this. You know what? If they don't understand their constitutional rights and how it applies to their everyday life by the time they graduate, your program is shit.
Right. That's true.
And you should be. And the first thing that they go against, especially with these people, because my wife homeschools, and she'll tell you the reason they hate homeschoolers is because they teach constitutional classes
Yep.
as part of their curriculum, mandatory.
And it's not in the public schools. It's not. I mean, no, it's not.
In a government class that half of you sleep through, that it just doesn't breathe.
Right. Right.
And what's it worth? Nothing.
Nothing. Look, right. I didn't. I mean, we sure as heck didn't learn none of this stuff when I was in school. I mean, the basic, the Civil War, the World Wars. You know, that was about it.
When you get into a thing of saving children or saving the ducks or saving the earth or any of this other crap, great, do your part, but keep your fucking hands off of mine.
Right.
Because you have no right to put your ideals before mine. It's called freedom and freedom of religion.
Right.
Because religion doesn't mean what church you go to. It's your core belief system as defined by the federal government.
Right.
My core belief system, it's not anything it's leave me the fuck alone. You've got no business, nor does the government have any business telling me what's right or wrong in my family. If I've not committed a crime,
right, then why are you then why are you like exactly telling to fuck off? That's right.
That
they
is
have
a
no right to
universal
even
phrase. Listen, you can go anywhere around this world, and it is the only phrase that everybody will understand is fuck off.
Fuck off.
No matter what language, you say
that
fuck
is
off
true.
in Russia,
Anywhere.
you say it anywhere else, they completely understand. Fuck off.
They that is true.
No, mine's not fuck off, it's fuck around and find out.
Well,
And
they
they're about to
understand that
find
too.
out.
Well, I'm saying universally in any language or any country you go to, you can say fuck off and they completely understand what you're saying. 100%.
They do. Because
And they'll have to fuck off because they know when you say fuck off,
they
the next thing is that with that is also an understood fuck around and find out that comes with it.
Yep, exactly. Because when you already gave them the warning, fuck off, get that going now, and then if they don't want to listen to that, then okay. Well,
No,
then
Herbert, they don't understand piss off. Believe it or not, it is that term. They do not clean it up in other countries. We're the only ones that have a lot of political correct. A lot of people just speak their damn mind in other countries, and they just don't care.
right.
I mean,
Over here, they sugarcoat too much. Like,
it is the phrase, and it is internationally known. It is the
that's
phrase
cool.
everybody knows to get people to understand that you're not playing, you're done.
Right.
And it doesn't matter where it's at. Now,
That's,
yes, the British have took and cleaned that up a little bit with piss off,
Piss
like
off.
like this or that. That's some of that, but
Piss
that's the English influence. But remember, if you're going to get on a world fucking stage,
right. I've heard.
you're on a fucking world stage.
Right.
Your ass is stuck in English or in England or in the podunks of fucking America.
Mhm.
That shit don't work.
Nope.
Better, on a world stage, this is what everybody's pushing for. Well, then act like it. Respect their cultures, their influence, whether you like it or not. That's their culture, as they say. When in Rome, do what the Romans do.
Right.
There's a reason why, because you're going to get fucked up if you don't, or piss them off, or insult them.
Right. You don't disrespect them. Like, don't. I mean, they all about, like, they have morals, honest. I mean, respect, and that's one thing they. I don't know what happened.
We are considered the rudest people in the world when we travel as Americans.
Right. Yes, I've heard that.
We do not do our due diligence to learn customs,
right,
or traditions of the areas we're going into,
and
it's so disrespectful. And if you don't believe it's disrespectful, what about everybody that complains about people coming here that doesn't know the language, or doesn't know the culture?
Exactly.
We don't do that here down south. We don't do this in California. We sure as fuck don't do it here in Maine, eh? You know, I'm going to tell you, it's too fucking cold for that, eh?
Right. And that's why there's I mean, heck, that even happens from county to county. Like in here in Georgia, you can go to other. I mean, they don't have no respect, like no manners, nothing. And it's like, what the heck has happened? Like,
people are tired of people, and they are different fed up depending on what their reality is.
Right.
Listen, you have somebody that goes out to these woods, especially in Appalachia, that people don't understand.
Yep. And they're
still living without power, still living off grid, and it's the way they've been raised, and they're not going to change it.
Right. And that's how, I mean, and they're fine, and that's why they're fine. And then they'll tell you to fuck off too. Like and
they're constantly fighting the government. People want to do all natural homesteads and do this and do that. You know, the number one things that causes people to move nowadays? Overtaxation of their property taxes.
Yep.
When you own something and you get old and this and that, and you don't have things there, why are you still paying on? You pay your house off. Why are you paying property taxes?
Right. Shouldn't have to. Like, no.
I shouldn't do this and that. And if you say it goes towards the fucking roads, I don't know where y'all live, but I can tell you this much: the roads are shit.
Right. The potholes are at my car. It's like shit. And then we'll fix that. And then they had like pothole patrol on the news down here, and I'm like, y'all, what are y'all doing with, like, y'all are supposed to be fixing this shit. It's still the same shit from last year.
It's been about money, and sometimes the cheapest stuff is not the best stuff out there, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
There are some things we should spend a little bit more on for a better quality of things. We should be pushing for new technologies, things to do things better off than what we were doing before. But we feel, and I don't know about you guys, and this is true, a lot of people just feel stuck. I said that today. I said that same thing just a minute earlier in the show. I feel like I'm stuck in just everybody else's life is going on, but I'm stuck. And I said it. Doing it, Sharon. Everybody else is moving while we stand still.
Yeah. Yep. And I said that at the beginning of the show. I mean, that's how. It's like, I mean, everybody, and then you're just lost and confused because you're trying to figure out what's really, why you're stuck. And then it's
not supposed to be like this.
No.
We feel so trapped.
Right.
You're so insulated from everything else. We come from a lot of things of the earth. And if you don't believe me, people that have all these things, why are we so insulated from the earth? When we were kids, we ran around barefoot in the grass.
Right.
Now, you can't do it because the chemicals are in the grass and send through there, and we don't round. And yet, what do we have in our shoes? Insulators, rubbers, silicones.
Right. All this man-made. That is true. Like, we used to drink. Like, our parents put us outside and tell us to come home in the street lights. Come on, we go have fun, play in the dirt, play. I mean, we never.
About having a hose when you drink from a hose.
Right.
Let it run till it got cold. You got to drink.
Right. Exactly.
Turn it off.
Because Mama wasn't letting you back in the house.
And you knew where the closest bathrooms you could get in to go to the damn bathrooms, because you had to have enough time to run where you had to go.
Right.
You had to know where to duck behind the tree.
Right. Like, we didn't have to worry about when we went out in the woods of somebody blowing up our phone or paging us or something.
Shit, we just find your ass. Hey, someone been over there lately? No. If you see them, have them call me. Click. Call the next person on the line who they know.
Yep.
Then they got the leashes and the beepers Then they got
the page,
cell phones.
the
And
the
they
back
got
phone. Yeah,
all that other shit, and it's just like I can't
it's
get a moment's peace in, and that's just like anything else.
yeah.
When I get home, I'm going to throw that technology usually back
Uh-huh.
working. I'm done.
You know, I
Hear a phone. I don't want to. I mean, I just want some peace and quiet. I don't even want to hear the TV.
there was a week that I did, and I didn't have a phone, and like my internet was down, and I mean I had power and what, but I'm telling you that was the most peacefulest
Oh yeah.
week, and and it's like, man, I'm away from the world, away from society. I mean, it was nice, and it made you think about back before all this internet come out and all this stuff. Like, shoot, I remember.
When I was a kid, when I went outside and played, yeah.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah, no kids do. I mean, nobody does that now.
We
Like,
lose power sometimes because of bad storms, even in Chicago.
but you know, it's nice
You didn't
though.
have anything, but at least you had natural gas that was coming into your house. So even
Right.
though the power went out, you had the whole top of your stove filled with pots of water because the water was still running,
Yeah.
just to keep the house warm and everything else going.
Right.
Which is why you had basements, because then your basements wouldn't freeze and freeze your water pipes like they do with the one level. Oh yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of science behind that.
Mm-hmm. And now they I mean, it's crazy how, and from when we were growing up to now, how it's changed so much.
Propaganda with seed oils. We saw corn oil come in, where we were
Mhm.
using lard and bacon grease and stuff people were using to do all this, and oh, that's unhealthy. Try this corn oil. Then it went from, oh, that one's bad to you, now try canola oil. Or
Yep.
you're trying this seed oil. Now there's soy. I mean, now it goes on and on and on, and it's
Wow.
poison, it's poison, it's poison. Why can't you just be fucking honest and quit trying to fucking kill me?
Right.
And they
I mean,
took advantage of people because of their laziness.
Right.
I don't want to do the work. I don't want to put in that much effort. You're right. Cooking and cleaning and doing all this stuff and doing it the right way, the healthy way, is a full-time fucking job.
Right. I like when like the elderlies, like the old wives tales, like the old like homemade remedies, like the home remedies, like my grandma used to tell me, man, like those I still use those till this day. Those things work better than them, instead of putting medicine, like taking a bunch of medicine. Like
You know what that comes back to?
What?
Whether or not your ancestors actually worked with the Native Americans that was in that area with the soil and knew the plants and everything else there, or they were just complete colonists and English and just moved in here bringing their ways to do everything rather than learning from people that were actively there, and that shows to this day.
That is true. That's true. That's true. I never seen it like that. That's true. Because I mean, I'm glad that I'm my grandma and my ancestry was the one that worked with the Native Americans, because they learned like how to live off the land and everything.
Yeah. Well, they were here first.
Yep.
It was
yeah.
of everything that was here, but once again, the thing was, look, we can easily overtake them and everything else. Why? Because they're a very peaceful people. They don't want to go through all this stuff. Right. They don't do anything unless they're provoked. There were certain tribes that at that time were, Geronimo and a lot of the other well-known Native Americans that fought a lot of wars that we understand. They were used to warring or fighting off a lot of invasive cougars or this or that, a lot of predators in their area.
Right. The actual animal, like predators, instead of like now they call cougars and
some nations were gardeners. They were planters.
Yes.
That's all they did. Others were hunters. Some were gatherers.
So they all did everything. I mean, and they appreciated things more. Like because they had to.
We have missed so much.
Yes.
If you ever had time and you ever have a chance, I've been on several reservations.
There's a reservation. Well, I mean, it's not a reservation, but I mean,
not just the touristy stuff.
Yeah, this is
tribal council, this and that, and asked to actually have a one-on-one tour.
Oh yeah, I went to Ruidoso, New Mexico one time and went on there. I know I thought there was a tribe out there. Ruidoso, New Mexico.
Ruidoso.
Like, yeah, there's like I forgot the it wasn't. But I know there's I thought there was.
Up there, I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, but I'm out there. I mean, and because going from Roswell, New Mexico to there, it was like a totally different world. Like Roswell was nasty and ew. And then you go to Rio Doso, there was a big fire out there and they burn it. It burned to the ground. Like that's what happened out there before that stuff out in Maui. And it's funny that area burnt, and then Maui and Rio Doso is near Indian. It's Indian land. Yeah. And then like all the stuff up in North Carolina, near Cherokee. I mean, it's wow.
Yeah, that's right here by me.
Huh?
It's on the other side of the mountain. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Sure.
I was.
Yeah.
It's
Listen, go to the Cherokee Res and stay for the show on the true history of what happened to their nation.
Okay. I'm gonna go check.
Blow your freaking mind.
I'm gonna write that down and go look at that because
they do. It's an outdoor theater that they put on for the people to visit that gives their point of view of what happened through their history that is documented. So you get a different part of history.
Okay, I'm gonna go check that out. Yeah.
But the point is that we're supposed to be learning from each other, helping each other out through these things that we have been separated by our own government of just leave me alone, and I want this and that. And now you've come to this intersection within our country that we come to a great divide. There was a Y in the road. We had to make a choice. And it doesn't have to be about Democrat or Republican.
Hi, I'm Tom Green, former state prosecutor and USCCA networked.
Well, okay then. Happy to have you then.
Right. What was that?
That was our time.
Oh, okay.
Well, we've done screwed up.
Yeah, we're a half hour over actually.
Well, I guess last words go around.
Yeah,
Herbert, start us off.
I'm still here.
You want to close this out? Start with the last words or thoughts?
Sure. I'd like to start off with what Darren was kind of saying yesterday. If you don't mind, Darren, I like to bounce off of that. That if it looks like a snake, it has eyes like a snake, and it swivels on the ground like a snake, it's probably CPS.
Right.
You didn't get that?
No, it's right. It's a snake. So, and they're snakes. They're
no, it's not. I said,
silly.
If it looks like and it has stripes like a snake, it's probably a CPS worker.
Oh, you're a mess. Hey, CPS. Oof. They just make my blood.
Last words.
As I listen to you guys, especially what Gunnar was saying, how when they open their mouth, they're lying. So I mean, a snake can smile at you and they'll bite you.
True.
That's what Tiffany says all the time. That's how you know if a CPS worker is lying. They're opening their mouth.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Because everything they lie about.
I just put that into what Darren was saying yesterday about the snake, and I thought I'd make it kind of funny. But my last words is really be careful. Try to stay away. Don't become a target, and don't be on their radar.
Right.
And take care of your children.
Danielle.
Just keep protecting your children and keep fighting. Don't give up. Just don't back down. And like when in any scenario, don't back down. You're more powerful than what you think. And to these people, these government, whatever, we are more powerful than what we know, what we realize. And knowledge is power. So keep fighting, everybody. I'm good.
Gunner.
I think education is the key. I think many people can be manipulated and persuaded. I believe a lot of what we see is a magic show, a distraction for what we have to some very evil alternative CPS workers, and a lot of these other peoples are puppets. I think we need to also focus on the puppet masters that are the real core, because I don't truly believe all these people that are CPS workers are evil. I believe they're being trapped in a situation that will eventually lead to them having what they've been doing happen to them, and then if they have children, having them taken, and then knowing exactly what it's like on top of trying to fight a felony. I think we need to do better of educating our youth about constitutional rights and how it pertains to us. I think this is something we really need to be educating all those around us that we can, of why it's so important, because you don't see it, and you can be taken advantage of if you don't and know where to stand. And being able to come together as a community, because we're so isolated, to realize that that community is not gone. Even though we're divided, we're still here. And in times of need, they say nobody loves the warrior during times of peace. But the point is Zhang Zu always said, to live in peace is to be always prepared for war. So I think we need to take some wisdom from those words. I think we need to pass this on.
Right.
I think we need to educate. We need to do our own homework, because here's the thing: we've relied on our government to educate us, or the new people coming in, the citizens, the free men, whatever it may be, to perpetrate their own objectives and their own ideals. And unless we know what our true freedoms are, I don't think we'll ever truly be free unless we all walk around fully educated to protect one another.
Right.
Even when we see something going wrong from something else, we get together as a crowd and stop some of the illegal stuff that's happening even today, because there's power in numbers.
Right.
And that's what they fear.
Right. That's
you have
right.
2 or 3 cops or caseworkers, but you have 50 people on the street. Who do you think is going to take and be intimidated then?
50 people.
Because you know your rights. And when they're standing, this is wrong, this is not right, this is, you don't believe it doesn't work? Look at Martin Luther King.
That's right. That is true. So, yep.
Big Vinny, what you got for us tonight? What are you doing?
Oh, well, I've been thinking about what I was going to say since the beginning and middle of the show. And I'm going to put it out there, and I'm just going to say it as it is. And I really don't care if it offends other people or not. Parents, it is time for all of us, every single one of us that are on this show, in this show, commenting on this show, it is time we stuck it to these people and this government, and we take back what is ours.
Right.
No more will we let them take our kids and traffic them for money. Our kids are not for sale, CPS and government officials. They are our kids, not yours.
Right. Yeah. Yes, sir.
And if you don't believe me, we'll take and have a discussion with Samantha or Debbie or even Cricket. We'll have a few talks with you as well. We've got a great crowd out there, guys. These guys, I don't know if you guys personally know some of these people, but talking to some of these people that are regulars here on the show, they're a great support, and they're going to stand, and they love soaking this up too, guys. It's a real pleasure, but let's keep building those numbers up and inviting people to come on here, because, this is how we get the word out. Darren, the C'est La Vie.
No, it's I went.
Oh, I must have been doing the thing. All right. Well,
Darren, you got the C'est La Vie tonight.
I'm going to stay in line with that one, Herbert. I'm going to stay in line. I'm going to say this. You don't ever back a wounded animal into the corner, because they will bite.
That's
Everybody,
right.
have a good night.
Yep.
I'm going to see this Punisher.
Our
We're out of
babies
here.
deserve better. Absolutely.
Good night, everybody.
I had a date with the devil, then I changed the schedule. Heard several medals by slanging that heavy metal. Turquoise and a feather, speaking to the spirits. Baby, tell me you can hear it. I die for what I hold dearest. Hope it never has to come to that. Promise I'm never gonna run from that. Step my ground like a man, draw the line in the sand. Yeah, family over everything, regardless how it land. I'd be damned if my soul damned. And me and Karma gotta hold hands. I'll go to war any minute, I'll be be fighting for my children, so the enemy got no chance. I'm a warrior for what's right, even though I did some wrong things. I wanted to get on for my offspring, tried to do it big so my kids could enjoy all of the small things. They say they could die young, I'm still breathing. I'm the son of the righteous, but my father was a heathen. When I go with him, I'm leaving a story worth reading, or a bunch of tales that probably drive my children off the deep end. Said it could die young, I'm still breathing. I may have ran with some demons, but I've never been a heathen. I believed all along, writing my wrongs in my songs. I put family over everything till everything was gone. Yeah, I know I've been a bad guy, but I always had a good heart. Played the part of a villain, been a hero for my children. When I'm no longer living, just remember all the good parts. I know I've been a bad guy, but I always had a good heart. Played the part of a villain, been a hero for my children. When I'm no longer living, just remember all the good parts. I had a talk with the angels, told me I'm in danger. Look at my reflection, see the image of a stranger. Been a long ride, what will I do with the remainder? Good die young, so my species are endangered. In the jungle with my guns out. Been through the storm, but the sun's out. I see the clouds coming, I'm not running from the flood, cause this time the enemy is gonna get flushed out. I'm on the pirate ship with all my gold. It can sink, the story still be told. This is the tale of the hopeless, I'm the poet of the broken, never truer words spoken from the soul.
You good, bro? Yeah. You look like you just buried a body. You can say that.
They said it could die young, I'm still breathing. I'm the son of the righteous, but my father was a heathen. When I go with him, I'm leaving a story worth reading, or a bunch of tales that probably drive my children off the deep end. Said it could die young, I'm still breathing. I may have ran with some demons, but I've never been a heathen. I believed all along, writing my wrongs in my songs. I put family over everything till everything was gone. Yeah, I know I've been a bad guy, but I always had a good heart. Played the part of a villain, been a hero for my children. When I'm no longer living, just remember all the good parts. I know I've been a bad guy, but I always had a good heart. Played the part of a villain, been a hero for my children. When I'm no longer living, just remember all the good parts.